Are you an Indian student studying in the US on a F1 visa? Did you know that filing the wrong tax form can get you in trouble even if you have no income? Hi, this is Shilpa, and in today's video, let me walk you through your US tax requirements. For the purpose of this video, let's take the example of Raghav, who moved from India to the US in 2025 on a F1 visa. In 26, Raghav needs to file his US income tax return with the IRS. The US tax year is from 1st January to 31st of December each year, which means that the 2025 tax year will be from 1st January 2025 till 31st of December 2025. The last date for filing this tax return is 15th April 2026. Now, in order to understand what are your US tax obligations, you need to understand an important concept called as non-resident alien. Now, this is a special tax status given to you by the IRS. It is subject to the following three conditions. Condition number 1, it is given for the first 5 calendar years in the US. Condition number 2, you need to have a valid F1 visa as of December 31st of that year. And condition number 3, the status is only for the purpose of filing your US tax return. So, do not mix this status with your immigration status. Now, once you are clear with your tax status, let us understand the tax filing requirements. From a tax perspective, there can be two possibilities. Either you will have income in that year or you will not have income. Now let's say that this was your first year when you moved to the US and therefore you did not earn any income in 2025. Now even then, there is a mandatory form that needs to be filed each year called as Form 8843. This form gives details regarding the number of days that you spent in the US, your visa status, details of the university you attended, etc. This form is mainly an informative form and has nothing to do with your income and is therefore required to be filed for each of these 5 years when you satisfy all the 3 conditions that we discussed previously. Now, assuming that, let's say this is your second year when you have income. Now, this income as a student can be from your on-campus job, your TA, RA, internship. In this case, you will now have to file the following forms. First is the mandatory Form 8843 that we just spoke about. The second form is Form 1040 NR. This is the form that you would use to file your US tax return. And the third is the state tax return if that is applicable to you. Now, before we come to the state requirements, let us understand a little bit more about this Form 1040 NR. This form is your US federal tax return. Note that since your status is non-resident alien, you should file your tax return in Form 1040 NR and not Form 1040. Now, many students are not aware of the status and they wrongly end up filing Form 1040. Now that you understand which form needs to be filed, the next logical question comes up. What is the income that needs to be disclosed on this form? On this form, you need to show only the income that is earned in the US. So some examples here are your TA income, RA income, internship income, etc. Any income that is earned outside the US need not be reported on your US tax return. For example, if you earn any interest from a bank account in India, this income will not be a part of your US tax return. Another important point to remember is to take the benefit of the India-US tax treaty while filing your taxes. Now, this treaty is a bilateral agreement signed between India and the US. This treaty allows you to claim the standard deduction while filing your taxes. For 2025, the standard deduction amount is $15,750. So basically, in simple words, this means that you can exclude your income up to $15,750 from paying taxes. So, effectively, this saves taxes. Now, this is a special treaty provision and not a default one. So, your tax software probably will not give you this by default. So, make sure that you claim this correctly while filing your taxes. Now, all that we discussed so far are the US federal tax rules, which are the same across the entire country. Unlike India, US taxes you once at the federal level and then also again at the state level. An important point to note here is that the federal tax rules are not the same as state tax rules. Now, what does it mean? How would you then file your state tax return? Now, each state has its own tax rules. US has 50 states and some of these states do not have any tax at all. Others may have their own residency status. And most US states do not recognize the India-US tax treaty. So basically, in order to be compliant with your state taxes, you will have to look at the rules of the state where you are staying as well as where you are earning income. Now, a very common thing which happens with a lot of students is that let's say you are living and studying in Georgia and then you move to California for 3 months to do your summer internship. In such a case, you will have to check the rules of both California and Georgia while filing your tax return. Now, since the state rules differ by each state, it is practically not possible to cover all of that as a part of this video. This brings us to the end of our overview of understanding US taxes for Indian students on a F1 visa. Now, before we conclude, let's quickly summarize the 5 action items that we studied so far. Point number 1, make sure that you file Form 8843 even if you had zero income. If you had income, file Form 1040 NR and not Form 1040. Point number 3, non-US income is not reported on 1040 NR. 4, make sure to take the benefit of the standard deduction via the India-US tax treaty. And lastly, check the state rules for every state you lived or worked in. That's all from my side for now. If you like this video, please click the like, share, subscribe button below, share it with your friends and whoever you think may benefit from it. Thank you so much for listening and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.